Heavenly Father, in this moment of introspection and surrender, I come to you with the burden I carry in my chest, a weight I often choose to conceal, even from those dearest to me. Anxiety, that unwelcome companion, whispers incessantly in my ear, weaving a web of worries that imprisons me in torturous silence. It is a burden few comprehend, for its external manifestations are subtle, disguised beneath a veil of apparent normalcy. The sleepless nights, the tightness in my stomach before simple events, the mind racing uncontrollably through catastrophic scenarios, these are the battles waged in solitude, on an invisible battlefield to human eyes. Society teaches us to be strong, to overcome our difficulties without showing weakness, and thus, we learn to silence the internal screams, to mask fear with forced smiles, and to blame ourselves for being unable to simply get over it. But today, Father, I choose to break this cycle of isolation. I choose to bring to light what has remained in the shadows of my being, not to victimize myself, but to seek from you the strength and clarity needed to navigate these turbulent waters. Anxiety for me is not merely a fleeting feeling. It is a state of being that permeates my choices, my relationships, and my faith. Often I feel torn between the need to express my pain and the paralyzing fear of judgment, misunderstanding, or worse, the disappointment of others. This prayer script is not a quest for magical solutions, but an invitation to contemplate the depth of this struggle, to recognize the validity of my experience, and to find in your word a balm for the wounded soul. It is a space to breathe, to be, to connect with the truth that I am not alone in my vulnerability. The promise of a path to healing and hope, anchored in your inexhaustible grace, is what propels me forward. There is a subtle, almost imperceptible hope that emerges when we dare to admit our fragility before you, our God. It is the hope that, as we unveil our deepest pains, we find not condemnation, but compassion, not rigidity, but love. The struggle with anxiety in silence teaches us to become masters at concealing our fears, at creating facades of control and serenity that drain our energy and distance us from our very essence. We learn to suppress panic, to swallow tears, to make excuses for our withdrawn behavior, all to maintain the illusion that we are well. This inner journey, often solitary, is marked by a profound yearning for peace, for relief from the constant vigilance that anxiety imposes. The question that haunts me is, how can I find freedom when the chains are invisible to the world's eyes? How can I trust in a God who promised rest when my mind seems in perpetual motion? This narrative aims to be a beacon in this darkness, a reminder that faith does not demand an absence of struggle, but the courage to walk alongside it, trusting that in your presence, even silence can find a voice and hope can flourish. I do not seek here an absence of difficult feelings, for I know they are part of the human journey. Rather, I seek the wisdom to understand them, the courage to confront them, and the faith not to be defined by them. It is an invitation to reflect on how our faith is tested and strengthened when we confront our own limitations and vulnerabilities, especially those we keep to ourselves. The silence that envelops anxiety is a paradox. On one hand, it is the refuge we construct to shield ourselves from exposure and the fear of judgment. On the other, it is the cage that imprisons us, preventing our needs from being seen and met. The difficulty in verbalizing the intensity of suffering, the apprehension of being deemed weak or incapable of navigating life, creates a vicious cycle. It begins with a faint disquiet that, left unexpressed, escalates and manifests in ways that are painfully familiar to us but inexplicable to others. Prayer, in this context, becomes an act of courage, a testament of faith in a God who sees us in our totality, even in moments when we ourselves conceal ourselves. The pursuit of genuine relief lies not in ignoring anxiety, but in learning to coexist with it in a manner that does not allow it to dominate us. This moment of prayer is therefore an opportunity to surrender to you, Father, not only the burden of anxiety, but also the weight of the silence that accompanies it. It is an invitation for your light to penetrate the darkest crevices of my soul, bringing not just solace, but also understanding. Recognizing that my internal struggles do not define me, but rather strengthen my dependence on you, is a crucial step. With these words, I seek to open a channel of communication not only with you, but also with myself, allowing the truth of my inner being to emerge. guided by your infinite mercy. Embracing this vulnerability as an integral part of my faith journey is the first stride toward discovering true peace. The weight of self-imposed quietude in the face of anxiety, rather than diminishing, often intensifies, transforming into an invisible burden that erodes the soul. It is as if we internalize the constant pressure to appear resolute, to project an unshakable serenity even when internal turmoil assails us. This perpetuation of voluntary discretion regarding psychic torment can, paradoxically, deepen feelings of isolation, as it impedes the necessary openness for empathy and mutual support. The hesitation to share one's battle, even with the Creator, may be masked by a feigned piety or a fear that the confession of frailty will be misinterpreted as a lack of faith. However, it is precisely in honest vulnerability that the transformative power of divine grace reveals itself most profoundly. Instead of seeking a silence that imprisons us, we can find in God a patient listener, whose ears are ever attuned to our deepest pleas, even those we dare not articulate aloud. The journey of faith invites us to acknowledge that true strength lies not in the absence of struggle, but in the courage to confront it with divine assistance. Furthermore, the tendency to conceal anxiety can also distort one's perception of faith itself. Instead of viewing faith as a sanctuary amidst life's tempests, we may come to perceive it as an impervious shield, incapable of being touched by worldly tribulations. This perspective can engender even greater internal